Hello everyone, it's our Campbell. Bounce. Boing, boing, boing. Hello everyone, it's Campbell here coming at ya with another video, and today I have a very special announcement. Drum roll please. We have the next 3 installments of the DCL series right here on the YouTube channel. Woo! That's right, over the next 3 weeks, we'll be releasing part 4, 5, and 6 of the much anticipated DCL series of videos here on the YouTube channel. If you missed parts 1, 2, and 3 from last August, that's right, that was that long ago when I released them, you can check them out in the playlist in the link below. Just a quick little background information about me. Hi, I'm Dale, you must be new here. I was a merchandise sales associate on board the Disney Fantasy and the Disney Magic starting on February 16, 2020. Great time to start. And thusly, it was my first contract on board, which came with its whole other issues as well. This video idea did come from a fellow YouTuber, Sparkle with Sophie. So if you want to go check out her channel and what her experience was like working for Disney Cruise Line during COVID-19, you can check that out in the description as well. But if you like this video or the DCL series as a whole, please make sure you like and subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate it. So if you want to watch me talk about what it was like to work on a Disney cruise ship during the COVID-19 pandemic, then please keep on watching. Alrighty, let's get into the timeline. And sort of housekeeping note, I do have some very detailed notes on timelines and stuff like that. So if you do see me looking down, I am looking down at my notes. So, and I have a lot of them. You can take the girl out of the office, but you can't take the office out of the girl. Wait, what? Alright, so my Disney Cruise Line journey actually starts off quite spicy. Spicy! I departed Cairns at 5:55 AM on, I think it was Saturday, the 16th of February 2020. Future day, please look up the day. But it was the 16th of February 2020 at 5:55 AM. I departed Cairns and went to Brisbane, and then Brisbane to LA, and then LA to Orlando. That was my flight path. I got my itinerary about a week ago. I talked about that in part 1 of this series, was all of the sort of timeline-y things. So we're actually picking up the timeline from that point actually, so that's fun. But I was actually lucky to get on that flight because the airline that I was supposed to fly with had planned industrial action for the next day. Very lucky to get on that plane. Apparently there was going to be strikes nationwide and stuff like that as well. Well, on the flight over there, you actually could, particularly the Australian legs, you could notice tension in the air and definitely some very questionable things going on. But hey, I was so excited and stuff like that as well, so I didn't really want to push the boundary or question anything. So anyways, landed the same day, which is weird. It's always a weird concept to me when I take off one day from halfway across the world and then land earlier the next day, but that same day in America. But anyway, I waited for a bit for my transfers. I think my Sydney transfer was like 2 hours, and then my Orlando one was, my LA one was like 3 hours. So there was quite a bit of time, which was good. Do not like to rush transfers. I had 40 minutes to transfer to an international flight in Dallas once, and that was just a nightmare. When I got to Orlando, I met a lovely group of people, my Traditions family, like I talked about in part 1 of this series. They are amazing, spent 5 days shoreside with them. A lot of them were going to the Disney Fantasy alongside with me. A few of them were going to the Dream. One was going back to Canada, I think. Don't sue me. We spent 5 days shoreside doing various trainings. We had Disney's Traditions. We had, charting a course, and we had onboarding and stuff like that as well, and just paperwork and stuff like that. 5 days of shoreside training. We even got a day off, and everything seemed pretty normal. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I went and watched the parade. Everyone was crowded. There was no like enhanced concerns and stuff like that, particularly in like mid-February, knowing what was to come. It's kind of weird to think about. And we went out to dinners and stuff like that. But of course, at the DoubleTree that we stayed at shoreside at Disney Springs, we had most of our meals in-house. So we got an allowance for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So most dinners we had at the restaurant because we're cheap and we didn't have to pay for it. And Disney prices, well, they too are very magical. Then on February 22nd, which I think again was a Saturday, we left the hotel at 4 a.m. in the morning to get to board the Disney Fantasy, which that was a cool morning. We had to wait in the bus for a little bit because they had difficulties porting that day because of rough seas apparently. Well, that's what we were told. You would say some information and we'd be like, sure. Then we had a week of safety and HR training, which was full on in and of itself, and that's a whole other video that I could do on that sort of stuff. Of course, ship tours and getting to know our bearings of the ship, and having, at least in merch, we had a few shifts actually getting trained out on the shop floor, just getting a feel for the registers and stuff like that as well. It's full on as soon as you get on board. Then a week after that, we have a full on intensive merch training where you get a trainer who shadows you, at least in shops anyway. I know the boutique is slightly different. They give you a trainer to shadow you and basically is your, I don't want to say it like this, your emotional support animal. Shout out to Rebecca. If you're watching this, Rebecca, you did a lot more work than what you realized. You were amazing, and anyone who has to train me or deal with me anyway is amazing, so thank you so much for that. I will say, over that week, we did start noticing a lot of people were cancelling their cruises for future cruises because of coronavirus. Word was getting out that, you know, cases were happening in America at this point, and no one was going into serious lockdown, but people were concerned for their safety, naturally. One thing I should note at this point, this is around early March, one thing I should note at this point is our access to regular news is quite limited. Okay, what I mean by that is we have to prioritize a lot of things. So you've got social media and stuff like that, like news sources from like websites and wherever else you want to choose to get your news is very limited. We do get free iMessage and WhatsApp texting, but oftentimes you have to pay for Wi-Fi, and you use that paid Wi-Fi to call home or catch up on what you would call essential social media, which is basically telling people, hey, I'm still alive. Here's this photo of a gorgeous sunset out at sea. So you kind of have to shift your priorities a little bit as to what you want to see and what you want to view and stuff like that. And of course, and this is a fun thing I learned the hard way throughout this process, was a lot of your news that you do get is very localized. So we were based out of Florida and we sailed through to the Caribbean and stuff like that. So wherever we were, the news that we would get is local to that area, and you have to go searching for the news from back home, particularly here in Australia. But in saying that, that's using up bandwidth that you had for other parts of social media. So it's this sort of juggling act, and it's like that during normal operations, but it was definitely enhanced during this lockdown. Of course, we had access to television in two places. We had the television in the crew mess where we go to eat, but it was not necessarily anyone could just take the remote and turn it onto a news station, and if that was the case, one person would then grab the remote and change it to, I don't know, fun, funny time, cartoon, spectacular hour. TM. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, that situation, it's like that in any break room, though, on land. You have a communal television, and you have to please everyone. And, of course, fun, funny, cartoon, spectacular hour pleases everyone because it's fun and you get to forget about what you were actually doing in your day. So there's that. But we also have crew television, which we have in all of our cabins and stuff like that. But again, you have to spend time actually in your cabin. You work 70 hours a week, 7 days a week, and you want to have something fun and something light as your sort of distraction from what you were doing that day. The week before lockdown, particularly from my perspective, on the 6th of March, we were told, I don't know by who, maybe the USPH? Maybe? Or it was just something that Disney implemented, but we were told that it came from somewhere else, to increase sanitation and cleaning procedures, to wipe down the sales counters, fixtures, door handles, doorknobs, once an hour. That was kind of to mitigate the sort of safety concerns that passengers had at the time. But that cruise was very special. That was the first week that I was by myself out in the wilderness. And it was people were amazing on that cruise, as we'll come to discover in a little bit. So, here's where we get to the actual part of the announcement. On Thursday, the 12th of March 2020, at 9:15 p.m, right after the second show in the Walt Disney Theatre, the captain comes on to the PA announcement. Now, from what I was later told, that never happens. On sea days, the captain comes on at around midday, gives a little bit of weather report, has a little bit of fun. Has his own talk show for about 20 minutes. It's a delight. To be fair, the captain's announcement in the middle of the day is kind of it's important information. Don't get me wrong, meteorology is serious, but it is fun to break up the monotony of the day. Serious time. Captain comes on at 9:15 p.m. on Thursday the 12th of March and says, "Hey guys, due to COVID-19, Disney Cruise Line has decided to suspend cruises for 3 weeks. Little did we know we would be today, but we don't know what's going to happen to literally anyone. If you aren't happy with your cruising experience right now, you can go to guest services, talk to them to see if you can get some sort of, not refund because you're here, but some sort of extra, we can try and go the extra mile for you and see, you know, what we could do to help cater you if you're not happy." The only reason why I remember this so vividly is because I was working at Mickey's Main Sale on registers, and everyone was like, I wouldn't say freaking out. I would say that people had this weird reaction of what is going on out in the real world right now. Like, what happened in the last week? Because you gotta think, the passengers are in the same category as us. They're in the same boat. I realize it's a ship. Don't sue me. They switched off. They're A, they're on vacation, and B, they're switched off. They're doing other activities and they're not necessarily in their staterooms, and they're in the same category too with the Wi-Fi and the internet situation as we are. So they're not watching news. They're trying to have a good vacation. So a lot of them are freaking out about, you know, what's going on at home, what's happening right now on the ship. Are we going to Castaway Cay tomorrow? is definitely a question I got a ton. And the captain came on about 5-10 minutes later and confirmed that we were, weather permitting, that we were going to port in Castaway Cay, Disney's private island, for 2 reasons. One, it was a controlled environment. It was an environment that we could control. And B, no one had been there since the suspension of operations, so we were the first. The one thing I do take away from that particular experience was the outpouring of support that we got as frontline crew members. People were coming up to us and just having their deepest sympathy. And of course, a lot of them had a lot of questions like, are you going home? What's gonna happen to you? I shouldn't be admitting this on camera, but I am, but a bunch of people like wanted to come hug me and just like go, we're so sorry, and you know, we hope all the best for you and stuff like that. And because I was still technically new, it was my first week by myself, so I still had my little red earning my ears tag. I was like, you know, I was in my head, I was going, none of us know what's gonna happen. So the next day rolls around and we're on Castaway Cay, and it seemed pretty normal. Again, it doesn't feel like anything else. I think I was on the afternoon, no, I was on the morning rotation that day. and everything seemed pretty straightforward. We were drilled into us that previous night after the announcement happened that we need to make our castaway key extra special. Not only for the guests, the passengers, but for ourselves. And little did they know, little did they know what was happening. March 14th rolled around and it was a day, I can tell you. That's the official lockdown day, and it started fairly normal, I will say. We got load that day. Saturdays are our load day. After that, we got a little bit of a meeting, and I had to say, we don't know what's going on either. They're dripping us information as it happens, and we kind of have to play everything by ear. And we got good at it. Some of us, not me. A week later, the CDC put a hold on domestic flights. So that made things a lot more difficult. A lot of the US and UK citizens went home on that day as well, or within that week, but a lot of them didn't because of the CDC's ruling. Then life kind of just had to happen without passengers. I want to get this up front, that Disney Cruise Line did an amazing job looking after us. We had a crew activities manager who would try and plan things around, around the madness, and of course the amount of activities that we could do could get smaller as the pandemic went on, of course. The measurements that they took, the physical distancing, the 4 per table rule, and then later became 2 per table, the elevator spaces, and no sort of gatherings, nothing. Like Cruise Line did an amazing job of keeping us well fed and well looked after, and offered like mental health support services if we needed them. Like they did their best, and for a little bit of time while we still had all the performers on board, we got to experience some of the live theatre shows, which we could never go to because we were working those nights, and our privilege level doesn't even allow for it anyway, even if we wanted to. And temperature checks twice daily, all measures and precautions to look after us. Other than that, work for us seemed pretty normal, I will say. We of course took a cut in hours, and that's to be expected, to the consequences of that. I'm not going to say it, but you all know what I mean. We would have, the cruise store would operate as per quote unquote normal, of course with capacities and physical distance queues and stuff like that. They would have cruise sales where a lot of the discontinued items would go on sale for the crew at heavily discounted prices. I got a lot of stuff. maybe a bit too much stuff. And of course in the shops we of course had the physical distancing and the capacities and stuff like that as well, and everything seemed fairly straightforward. We got loads every week. They got reduced down to twice a week. We would sell alcohol when we were allowed to. I think it was like 11 miles out at sea or something. Like we had to be out at sea, not just anchored off the coast. We had to be actively sailing. And yeah, they opened up a lot of the guest areas to us as well, a lot of the cafes, the bars. To a certain extent, the bars did start getting closed down towards the end of my time there anyway, and like they did a lot of work. They had movies in the movie theater for us to watch. Like they did a lot of stuff, a lot of intense cleaning as well. My God, I have not done as much cleaning in my life as I have there, and it was a lot. Stock rooms got polished for the first time in probably 20 years, but everything looked spotless. I will say, and I'm guilty of this too, panic buying was definitely real. Can't stress that enough. People, you do not need 4 bags of Doritos a week when you barely in normal operation ate half a bag. You don't need that. Think of the children. There were no children. I don't know why I said think of the children. But yeah, no, life was pretty normal. And I still got up, ate breakfast, went to work, ate lunch, went back to work, ate dinner, did an activity at night and went to bed, you know. Or went out drinking, depending on what I was feeling like. You still have that routine and you still have to work. Like, we still worked. Yes, it seemed relaxing, it seemed like a party, but we were still putting in, you know, at the beginning there 6-7 hour days, and then towards the end we were putting in about 6 hours. So, you know, you pick your battles. Now to the fun stuff. Actually, not really, I've only got a few points left. On the 7th of May, fast forward, I got moved from the Disney Fantasy to the Disney Magic. Now, that whole debacle, which I will not go into on camera because it was a debacle, but got moved from the Disney Fantasy to the Disney Magic on May 7th. Kind of scary, not gonna lie. Whole new ship, whole new crew, same job. Actually, the job was slightly different between the two ships, but we can talk about that in another video, but so there's that. And on May 19th, finally was able to fly home. It was definitely an experience. It was definitely a time. Trying to go through airports with increased, you know, measures and stuff like that. I was in Heathrow, and Heathrow is a ghost town. Yes, I said the sentence. Heathrow was a ghost town. Oh, yeah, this. So I've got two side tangents for my journey home. One, we had a 3.5-hour layover in Sri Lanka, of all places. We had 2 medical debarks, so that was fun for them. And one was a heart attack, and one was apparently COVID. So dodged a bullet there. Which, Sri Lanka looks like a nice country. Hi, any Sri Lankan viewers that I may have. And all of the excess baggage, I think, all told, I think I spent about $800 on excess baggage. Yeah, navigating airports were easy because no one was in them. Turns out. Thankfully, though, we had, I think there was about 4 of us. 4 of the Australians that travelled together through the whole experience. Finally, after months and months and months of lockdown and boring life, I finally returned home on the 4th of June. I started the production company during hotel quarantine, and look where we are now. We are, you know, we are doing the YouTube channel, we are making videos, and we have the Jerk Live radio show. Like, they're the 2 big pillars right now, and I could not be more happier with all the support that I've been getting throughout this journey. So that was my experience working on a Disney Cruise Line ship during COVID-19. I hope you guys enjoyed learning more about my Disney Cruise Line journey throughout this whole experience. If you want to support this and everything that I do, you can do that over on my Patreon at patreon.com/DaleCampbell. That's patreon.com/DaleCampbell, DALECAMPBELL. If you want to follow my many Instagram adventures, including photos from said lockdown, you can do so at TheDaleCampbell. That's TheDaleCampbell. We've got a Discord that lets you know when we upload new videos, and you can have the opportunity to chat with me once we go offline. You can do that at bit.ly/DaleDiscord. That's bit.ly/DALEDISCORD. What else do I do with my life? Oh yeah. Future Dale, don't you dare leave that in there. Don't you dare. And if you want to support the channel in a different way and look cool doing it, we've got some Drunk Live Show merch, we're getting some Campbell Productions merch, and we're getting some YouTube merch over there very shortly. We're going to work on it. You can go to bit.ly/GLS merch. That's bit.ly/GLSMERCH. A little teaser into next week. We are going to be talking about, I actually know what's coming next week. What the? What? Revolutionary. We're going to be talking about the places that I was traveling to throughout my Disney Cruise Line journey. So we actually get to learn more about that, and we've got a little fun and interactive pop for that video as well. But until then, I've been Dale Campbell coming at ya, and we'll see you all next time. Bye!